Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video. A new video in which we're here to discuss us losing to Roma Football Club because obviously we lost to Roma. We are guff. And again, where it isn't a surprise or where it isn't a shock that we've lost against this calibre of a team when you compare to what we are these days, there is a bit of sadness as it is completely remarkable just how far we fell off the European radar. You know what I mean? That boop, boop, boop. We're not even the radar. I mean, it's completely blank. A fixture that I think last season we'd have all went in with the mentality with the likes of the Chermitis up front and everything like even Dessers, you got Egamano up there. You're sitting looking at that type of team there, you think to yourself, right, we'll grab a draw at least. And that was last season when we still weren't good enough, ladies and gentlemen, to even going back further a couple years ago. We'd all been licking our lips with the anticipation, battle fever running through the veins, troops, believing that we weren't just going to grab a draw. We had a real chance of scanting that team because that's what we were almost spoiled to expect, that every single game at Ibrox was a battle and our team made the opposition team need to elevate their game or they were getting nothing for us. You compare what it was just a couple years ago to what it is now, where teams like Roma are walking about all laying it in the second half, 2-0 up, not even pulling on a pair of bits. They were wearing slippers. And that second half is completely lifeless and slow, sad to see, and it's another 3 points gifted to the opposition with comical goals flung away. But again, it's a game the opposition never needs to really excel or elevate themselves. They just need to be a functioning football team and chuck in a couple good crosses and we take care of the rest. We are an absolute masters of our own downfall, and this team seems to relish in doing that. And I guess when you take a step back and you look at the overall picture, that's what frustrates me the most, ladies and gentlemen. It's no losing against a Roma side, you know what I mean? That can happen. Look at some of the values of their players. It's the manner in what is happening, and again, it's almost just handed to them on a silver platter. We're not really up there and battling and scrapping and making people deserve anything. It's just kind of playing through the emotions, and we're almost a complete and utter afterthought in European football. The entire European pedigree we had, the Rangers, Thursdays, all that malarkey, it's all gone, and what's left is just the carcass. It's just the soulless body of what was previously there in European football, and it is sad to see, ladies and gentlemen, but I guess when you glance around and you look at the rest of Scottish football and you pay attention to the overall picture again when it comes to the Scottish coefficient, it's no surprise to see teams struggling. You know what I mean? Scottish football is in a very, very bad state, and arguing amongst ourselves and this and all this and that doesn't do nothing to help nothing. What's happening is Scottish football's plummeting before our eyes. With the way it's gone right now with the coefficient, I believe we're now as low as we've ever been. Inside that, if it plays out there, we're going to plummet even further out of the top 15 leagues, troops. We're going to plummet out of the top 15 leagues. Do you understand what that's going to do to our game? You think it's bad now? Man, just wait to see the way this is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse. We're going to lose more European stages, and then there's going to be more qualification stages, meaning there's less chances of even making remote European money. That's putting more players off for coming up to Scottish football. It's in a bad way, ladies and gentlemen. But again, where it's important to sometimes glance at everyone else, again, we're here to prioritise Rangers, but we are the perfect summary of just how bad Scottish football is right now. Where we used to be the team that was almost carrying the coefficient on our back, we can't even walk anymore. And these types of games sitting bottom after 4 matches in the Europa League a couple years after making a European final, 12 months after making the quarterfinals, whilst finishing inside the top 8, to sitting bottom, pointless, and being the punching bag at Europe. It's a scary, scary place now, being a Rangers fan. I wish the people that now own this football club would truly wake up and stop posing for pictures and doing their wee meet and greets and actually listen and see what's required to help the club they now own. And again, that is getting rid of the 2 Ronnies before they do any more damage, because the damage they've done in just one transfer window is clear to absolutely everybody. Look at the historically bad start to the season. Look what's happening in European football. Look at the Mullins, look at the games we're losing. That's just through one transfer window, yet the owners are going to pretend to be blind to it and ignore all the noise and give them another transfer window and even more money to waste and set this club back. Nah, no for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I might be sounding like a broken record, but something needs done off the park, or this darkness that we are experiencing as a fan base is only going to get worse, man. Because what we're going to do, give them more money to make us worse? What sense does that make? But maybe that's a conversation me and they need to have another day, you know what I mean? Let's park our frustrations regarding them two for a minute and just push it here for a second. And let's focus on the park stuff then, shall we? Because that's what the title is, that's what the video is. We're here to talk about Roma 2, Rangers 0 at Ibrox. And I think when you narrow in and look at this individual game and this individual performance, was it as bad as our previous outings in European football? That's left me baffled, confused, foaming at the mouth with rage and genuinely shaken with anger with some of the embarrassing humiliations we've had in Europe. Is it the likes, say, Bran getting battered off their B team, or getting beat off Graz Ibrox, or getting beat versus Genk? Honestly, it's no. And there is a painful conversation I think all of us need to have, and if it isn't drove home to you how bad we are these days, this might be the knockout blow, as you could genuinely make an argument that our best team performance in European football in terms of the Europa League this season has came in a game of football we got beat 2-0 at Ibrox. This is painful. And I'm in such a weird place, because that anger and frustration is there that I'm going to start tearing these players apart and be like, you're dreadful, you're dreadful, you're dreadful. You just sit and look at them and you be like, well, you're not good enough. We know you're not good enough. We're just stuck with you for a wee while. And you just sort of adds to the atmosphere, and it just adds to the vibe that if we were all playing Football Manager right now, every single one of us would go on vacation until at least January, or maybe even just sim the season. Or if we could, ladies and gentlemen, we'd all restart the season and rip up every single signing we have done and start again. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a video game, and this is apparently real life. And I say apparently because sometimes I feel like I'm in the Truman Show and this football club is pushing me to the mental brink just to see how far it can shove me. And trust me, troops, they're getting there. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting looking at this team these days and be like, oh my god, it's rotten to the core, both on and off the park. And that's a shame, ladies and gentlemen. But again, regarding the individual performances, I wouldn't necessarily say anybody was good the day, but I did see at least an organised side that I never saw early on in the campaign. So you can see players knowing what their roles are, whether it's the right roles for Rangers Football Club and whether it's too defensive. I know that'll be a conversation you can have down in the comment section below, but I'd say they were well organised and they did stick to the task they were given, and there was a couple decent performances. For instance, I thought Tav was alright today. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not going to be the one that gets brought out in this video where I sit and blame, oh, it's Tav's fault again, we've been beat today, it's all Tav's fault. I thought Tav was decent. He created a couple opportunities, he cut out a couple, he's got his clear faults that every single one of us know, but we have built our team so poorly that we're overly reliant on a 34-year-old right back that just 3 days ago played 120 minutes, a couple of days after playing 90 minutes before that. And then you see where I'm going with this, right? The only thing I've really got a problem with Tavernier is his set piece delivery, because it is absolutely rotten, and that needs to be something we address sooner rather than later, because historically you can be a team that creates very little from open play, but then you've got to have something for set pieces to at least offer a threat to score goals, because scoring goals is what picks up points and wins games. So that's usually the way it goes. But if you've been paying attention to Rangers so far this season, we create very little for open play, and our set piece delivery is rotten and so bad this season that we've actually conceded more goals for our own set pieces than we've scored it. Let that sink in. Yeah, there's been no change right there. Does nobody else have what it takes to step up? Can nobody go to them and be like, I'll take this one? Nobody got it in them to say, let me have this one? It's rotten, man. But again, that's my only frustration with Tav, is just how poor his set pieces are. But his overall performance, again, was alright. I might surprise someone right here. Max Aarons, I dare to say, was alright. And given how his Rangers careers went, by the way, that somehow, some way, this game right here was his best performance in a Rangers shirt. Hello, Brock Bottom. I've went ahead and reached you, but again, all joking on that aside, I think if players in front of him and who he's passed the ball to do their jobs and are up to it, or at least to the level he was at the day, the conversation regarding rematch could be slightly different tonight, because it was his wonderful ball that gave Gazama a chance to run into the box. His cross/shot did force a save for the keeper that nearly created the goal for Mikey Muir, to be fair to them. But again, in the second half, it was me, Aarons, that picked the ball up, ran with the ball and slid Chermiti through on goal on his left peg, but the big man couldn't even hit it on target. But just because the guy at the very, very end never done his job, didn't mean the one that set him on his way never. So I just want to give something in that, so I'm not just sitting here seeming like I'm overly negative all the time. There was a couple wee sparks. I thought Barron again showed what we were sort of missing on Sunday, and that's just a bit more life in the middle. But again, he's got his downfalls and his other side of his game as well. He's not a world-class player or anything like that, but it gives you what you've got, and we sort of needed that the day, or that game could have maybe got away. Puts out a lot of wee fires, ladies and gentlemen. I thought Mikey again was alright as well, but to sit here and sort of clap my hands and cheer, say, oh yeah, that was amazing, I can't really do that. But before we get to the other side, I wanted to just mention there was a couple players that were alright in the game. But we often talk about balance on this channel, and where there was a couple players putting in decent performances, there was a couple other players just putting in the usual guff performances, and it did break the old Camel's back, if you want. I thought Raskin was really poor in this game of football. I'll say it, ladies and gentlemen, I'll get shouted at on social media. I thought the likes of Chermiti put in one of the weirdest performances I've ever seen, because if you look at Chermiti, was he the worst player on the park today? Honestly, no. There were sometimes he won a foul, or he won as a corner kick, or he ran and he done the hard yards off the ball, and you'd be like, oh, is there something there? But then you watch the guy that's wearing the number 9 for Rangers Football Club go through on goal, and he can't hit the target no matter what side, no matter what speed, or no matter how many chances he gets created for him. You'd be like, that's where you're judged, big man. That's what the problem is. But see, at the exact same time, if you look at us and what we're continually doing, Danny's in the conversation for this now as well, by the way, because he's picking him, unless Kevin's telling him to pick him, that is. But Danny's continually play Chermiti, and when you build your team around a guy that doesn't score, you can't then be surprised when your team, guess what, doesn't score. And the big man's getting big Bob Malcolm treatment. If you remember, I'm sure it was a Motherwell game at Ibrox where he ended up getting jeered coming off the bench and everything, or getting subbed, I should say, during the game of football. Some of the older guys that's maybe watching the channel will remember that game of football and remember it being on the radio and everything. Like the fans were cheering him getting subbed off in the game of football. That was sort of there in the game. Every miss, every mistake's just been completely over-analysed because there is so much frustration. So maybe take the young kid out away. He's nowhere near ready, Rangers, right? I know we've made a howler. I know Kevin's wasted money, but we kind of need to throw away the rest of the season trying to build this guy up to get him to the level, right? Because see, if that is the mentality, that he's not quite ready, but we're giving him games to get him ready, then why are we not doing that with Finlay Curtis? Why are we not be doing that over year after year after year over the young kids we've had coming through our academy? Why do we not see them worth the opportunity to play through games and learn from the mistakes and maybe kick on? But we'll do it for Chermiti. What is the puppeteering that's going on at this football club? I genuinely have so many questions, and again, the big man to me isn't ready. Maybe it's time to pull him for the final line and play the experienced head who, yes, isn't necessarily playing well right now, but maybe give him the opportunities. Maybe start with him. Maybe then just chuck him on getting it in minutes towards the end of the game when the game's done and dusted. I don't know, it's just a different point of view, because Insanity's doing the same thing here and there again. We keep doing the same thing. Look at the results. Does nobody want any better? Alright, I'm just ranting to myself. But again, I would like to stress, for me, wasn't he the worst player on the park? And if you stay throughout the entire game recap, you will hear who is and who I feel gets away with murder every single week. We'll talk about that. But again, I know right away at the start of the video, the main conversation points, the big talking points are big chermiti, so I needed to address it. I needed to talk about it. Again, for me, he's a laddie that's not ready to be playing week in and week out, but because of the puppeteering that's happening and the money that's been spent on the laddie and the pressure that's been chucked on the laddie, he's almost getting forced into that position, and this club's getting forced in that position to justify a price that he'll never ever be able to justify, or certainly make a profit on him. Again, wish him all the best, but I can't help feeling moments in games like this and feelings like this and groans like this are only going to do the exact opposite for what this kid sort of needs, you know what I mean? So again, maybe just manage that situation a wee bit better, dare I say. But aye, let's move away from that and get to the game recap then, shall we? Because there is a hell of a lot to talk about, and the starting 11 is going to be the talking point. Again, chermiti was selected over the likes of Bojan and over the likes of Danilo, who scored 3 goals in his last 5 games. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, what are we teaching our strikers? That if you score goals, you're not playing next week, you know what I mean? We are prioritising guys that didn't score, or guys that are actually making a difference and winning us games of football. Is it? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, right? But Danilo was dropped, but the rest of the team was pretty much what we expected it to be, regarding the fact that Cornelius was nowhere to be seen. So that meant Tavernier was the right centre back, and obviously Max Aarons was in with young Jadon at the left. The rest of it was what we were all expecting in the game of football, and maybe painfully what we were all expecting from the performance was also delivered as well, as it was defensive, it was slow, and it was almost like, yeah, let's just not get pumped in this game. And look, this might be the right strategy to have, and maybe Danny's doing the best thing he can with the bunch of players he's got right now, because we know, and I hope that he would know, that this team isn't exactly littered with absolute superstars that are going to dominate and win this game week in, week out. There is clearly massive fires that are still going on right now, and he's trying to put them out by making us more defensively solid, right? Because we're toothless in the attack and we were leaking goals all the time, and he can only fix one of those things at one time. And for me, he's prioritising that back door to hopefully nick a goal or grab a set piece and score enough to just get him ticking over and grabbing the wins, right? It makes sense to me, but I see it at that same time, man, especially in a European game, when you've got that atmosphere that can build, and how that can be a 12th man, if you want, they start so slow and so safe, just kills the mood, in my opinion. But again, I can acknowledge it's a very difficult place to be right now. You just want it to be what it was, but it's no. Maybe he's doing the best he can. You can let me know in the comment section, because there's none to talk about. Remember, every single European game, I felt like I spoke about a shot on target, or us hitting this bar, or Morelos gone close, or somebody gone close, nearly scoring a goal on the first 10 minutes of every European game, whether that was Dortmund, Leipzig, all these big teams littered with big players. Yeah, none happened in the first 11 minutes of this game. And I mean, none. The first major opportunity in the game of football was resulted in a goal. And guess how it went ahead and happened? Set pieces. And look, I imagine for everyone's sanity, it's late at night, or maybe it is in the morning whenever you watch today's video, but you're just like, CJ, let's not break down the defensive. Let's not break down how historically bad we are now for set pieces. We then need to do it again. We know, we've listened to your last video, and I appreciate if you did watch those last videos, by the way, but again, it's just so basic to me. They whip in a ball, right? And I know it's modern day. I know I'm an old man again howling at the moon right here, but to me, no matter what statistics tell me on a wee laptop or whatever any of that crap says right there, it will never make sense to me having Nico Raskin and Mikey Moore marshalling a part and responsible for a part of the park that has Mancini in, the Roma captain. I was going to say Romanian, but the captain of Roma, who's a 6'3" centre half that gets up and is score goals. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't make sense to me, to have 2 players that wouldn't get on Valhalla at Blackpool being responsibility for the area of the park that he is in. Guess what happens, ladies and gentlemen? Roma identify that area, whip it in, Mancini jumps above both of them with ease, headers it down to the back post where nobody's there, and it's an easy tap in for Roma, and it's so basic again, but it's the same crap we give away week in, week out, season after season, and unfortunately, manager after manager. I have to ask, and I want somebody to explain it to me, how is this never changing? How are we not getting better at all? No matter who's in, or what coaching staff, or what on earth is going on? Is it the methodology behind it? What's the statistics telling me? This is, why does this never improve no matter who's in the dugout or how much we work? On it, why is there always somebody free to tap in? Why is it every game we concede a goal through set pieces? It's so embarrassing, man. But again, it's so basic. And going back to the statistics and everything, well, if you take somebody off the post, statistically it tells you you've actually got a better advantage because you've got another player in the box that could win a header. Aye, that would all make sense if they weren't all 5'2". You know what I mean? Stick the big lads on the big lads and stick someone on the post. Let's go back to the defensive style for set pieces we done the last time this team was successful, which was 2020, ladies and gentlemen, when Stephen Davis was standing at the post every single week. We changed the following season. What have we won since? Exactly. But it does need to be said, Mikey, who was one of the bright sparks in the game of football, was involved in the 15th minute where he spins his man brilliantly. He then tries to run away from another one. He gets pulled back, which gives us a free kick. And Soapy rattles one. It's gone to Nabty, ladies and gentlemen, right? But the two Roma players end up mixing up, and I think it's the left back that kicks it against the centre half, and it sets Chermiti with the opportunity inside the box. And I think, oh my God, the big man's there because the first touch is so good. He's got the angle. He's like, go on, big man, just hit the target. But it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. And that was a massive, massive, massive opportunity. You talk about us giving gifts away to the opposition to concede. Well, they've just gave us one to score. But again, it's not a tap-in, it's not a sitter or anything like that. But at this level, you've really got to take these chances against that opposition. But when you see how the chances are falling to, is there any surprise? Circle on all the way back. Again, no. Roma then starts having some fun with the football, and I think it's Sule again cutting inside from the left hand side that forces Butland into a decent save from that corner. I can't do it, ladies and gentlemen. They whip the ball in again to another free header. That's 2 free headers in the first 16 minutes of this game, but thankfully this time, I think it is Mancini again, by the way, he doesn't get it on target as he hits it about 3-4 yards over the bar. Everyone's forgot about the second one, by the way, but that's just as free as the first one. It's just not resulted in a goal, so we've all forgotten about it. But again, there were some spells of decentness, and again, this happened with wee Max getting on the ball. He wins the ball, which shocked me. I was like, oh, he can tackle, but then he's running with the ball, and you're like, oh, he can run as well. Then he slides a brilliant curling through ball to our boy Gazama, who needs to be better in these situations. He was on fire at the start of the season. Now he's just looking like a broken cooker with zero gas, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? Because he gets slid down. He's just got to make it. Mikey, I was going to say Chermiti, but Chermiti just can't track a ball, man. He's not even paying attention. But Mikey was sprinting to the back post, wanting it. But Gazama's cross is so rotten. And again, that's a major opportunity. We make a simple cross. Mikey Muir's at the back post on his own with a chance to score, but a shocking delivery. And guess what happens next? After some decent defending, one of them by Soapy, right? And I tried to actually, that was decent defending for Soapy as Dobrevka ends up running down and he does really well. Soapy puts his body on the line, passes it back to Butland. I'm like, alright, Big John, that's some good defending. Then they come down the right hand side of Rangers, they run away for Tavernier, whip a dangerous ball to the back post. Then it's cut out by Jaden. I'm thinking, wow, even Jaden's doing some defending today. That's alright, you know what I mean? Maybe. Then the 35th, 34th minute of the game comes. One long ball, you know what I mean? I'm just about to praise John Soapy Suitors defending. Then he just ignores and turns away and walks away for the £38 million striker behind you. Roma's biggest threat on the park. Our vice-captain of the football club's got no idea he's behind them. He just starts walking away for the laddie, you know what I mean? One simple long ball behind him is going, oh wait, somebody's behind me. He tries to go and get him, but Dobrevka again just a wee simple layoff, and it's a tap in from the edge of the box to the most dangerous player that from outside of the box that scored. The most goals from outside the box is the guy we leave wide open to shoot through side the box. And it honestly looked like a training exercise, and I think it was at that point Roma just sort of laughed at themselves and went, what are we against here? But again, we did show a bit of fright, and again a lot of that comes again from Max Aarons to Gazama. Gazama ends up beating his man brilliantly, gets to the byline, whips in across, the goalie spills it. Can chermiti not move? I'm sorry, I know, it sounds like I'm moaning, but go back and watch it. Chermiti's hiding behind the centre back. We used to moan at Dessers for doing this, so we can have the same energy for Chermiti. He's hiding behind the centre back. The ball's not going to go through the defender to come to you, but anyway, Gazma drills it to the goalkeeper. The goalie ends up spilling it, and Mikey Moore reacts first over our big striker, and Moore's shot, to be fair, is brilliantly defended by the Roma captain Mancini again, who gets up and gives it the old celebrations. And to be fair to them, that's a gold saving tackle, so he's got every right to celebrate it. But that was it, ladies and gentlemen, for the entire first half. But again, into the second half, I think some changes were needing to be made, and Danny reached into that and sort of changed the defensive formation, as again it was just giving Roma too much time and too much opportunity to just be comfortable on the ball. Because again, I'm not really going into it, but there was just sometimes Roma were just passing it about effortlessly around the middle, and again, wee Raskin, who wasn't good today, but wee Barron, who was, you say what you want about either one of them, but they run and they close down and they were just passing round them. It looked like a couple Jack Russells chasing a tennis ball at the park. Roma was like, oh, and they were going, and they were trying their best, man. But again, it was just men versus boys, and I hate saying that, ladies and gentlemen, but that's what it seemed like to me. So Danny did rip it up in the second half. He made a substitution, went away from maybe the back five, or in that he brought in Tello Asgard for Jaden, and my mentality was, please just don't kick anybody this time, Tello. Try kicking the football. But the second half started not with a wow, we're coming back, but a slack pass. I think it was it from Raskin again? But Giga thankfully blocks out. But then we started to create some things and started to ask some questions. The first one is when from Tavernier ends up picking the ball for the right hand side, does a nice wee run, beats a couple men. Yeah, the 34-year-old right back still needing to drive this team forward. He feeds it in to the middle of the park. Tello Asgard then finds him again, and then it goes to Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore opens the body up, tries a wee curler, tries a wee Thierry Henry, but unfortunately it's about 3 or 4 yards wide. But again, it was probably about as nice as football we played all day. It's just a shame the end product wasn't good enough. But my God, that could be in the gravestone of the season. And then there was just a lot of Roma possession. There was a couple of dangerous crosses that we just managed to get away. But then again, we were offering Son going forward. And again, this is all down to Max in the middle of the park. We've already talked about it, but he picked the ball up, he ran with it, played a beautiful through ball, and Chermiti looks awkward, looks uncomfortable on the left foot, and he doesn't get it anywhere on target. And it's a shame for the big laddie, because I do think he actually tries. He's not one of the guys that I look at me like, oh, he's just here for the wage, he's chucked it already. There's a couple people that like say Rothwell I look at, and I look in the eyes and say, do you even want to be here? I think Chermiti does try, but he's just not good enough. Do you know what I mean? Again, I didn't want to be too harsh, but obviously he felt that moment, the crowd felt that moment. I imagine everyone around the world felt that was a major missed opportunity. But then again, to be fair, a couple of minutes later, he chips the ball down himself, he runs wide, cuts inside, tries to hit a cross shot, and it's cut out by the goalkeeper. So again, he's trying, but he just is what he is. It's just somebody that doesn't score. But again, after that moment in the game of football, and that moment of excitement, again, Roma was just clever and just took the sting out of the game again for the next 3 or 4 moments, playing with their slippers on, cigar in their mouth, just killing the game's momentum. So Danny once again reached to the bench to try and freshen it up and took off Gazama, who again, in my personal opinion, was maybe the most wasteful Rangers player on the park the day, and where Chermiti will get a lot of crap, where Raskin will get a lot of crap, where Tav always gets a lot of crap. I'm looking at the gas man saying that's got to be better. So many times he got in a good position, but his end product wasn't bad, it was worse than that, ladies and gentlemen, and you expect better for that lad. You know, again, he is getting played out of position, so there is an argument to be made right there, so maybe he isn't comfortable, but I just thought he was rotten, and clearly the manager did too, as they went ahead and made a substitution. Raskin also came off the park, which again I wasn't hating, as you can understand why. And the other player that came on during this time was also Diamande, which again I didn't hate, as he's got the energy, he can run, and he's got a wee bit more attacking output than Raskin, so I think, okay, Danny must sense a wee bit in this game of football. And a couple minutes later, once we finally get the ball back for Roma, there was a moment where Tello Asgard, beautiful back heel nutmeg, he then plays it in. I think is it to Mikey Moore or is it to Tav? But anyway, the ball then comes back to Tello Asgard, who opens his body up, has a shot, but it is just a whisker wide. In fact, it was wee Mikey that played the ball to him. Tello takes a touch, tries to set it, but it is wide, and these are wee half chances, these are wee half moments, but again, these are the moments you've got to be good enough, you've got to have quality in these moments to score against this opposition at this competition at this type of level. But you can just see we just didn't have it, so the chances, the opportunities and the time just goes by like that. Now the 68th minute comes in. For me, it's the worst part of football that Tavernier done all night, as the ball comes in from the right hand side, but he ends up getting sucked in the inside and he comes up trying to win a header, leaving the man at the back post completely free. You know what I mean? Anyway, from there, thankfully, he mishits his volley into the deck that somehow drops to the opposition, thinking, oh, here's the Benny Hill goal. Here's the Benny. We've conceded the set-piece goal. We've gave them another goal as Soapy's tried to put out a fire by spreading more fire, and now we're having the Benny Hill goal conceded. This is just peak Rangers defensive bingo, but somehow the guy at the back post who gets the opportunity to score a tap-in, hits half his knee, possibly hits his nasher, hits the bar, and then we corner bar and clears it off the line. Brilliant, brilliant appetite. I think it was eventually ruled for offside, but again, I don't know if it was offside or not. I've not been able to see it back just yet, or anything like that, but I did believe the flag did eventually go up, but again, you don't know until they score or know whether that's going to stand, so I'm just going to give credit where credit's due. Did we ride our luck? Aye. But did wee Barron deserve that wee moment to clear it off the line? Probably, given what he gave in the game of football. And you could genuinely make an argument our best defender so far this season has been Connor Barron. The 72nd minute of the game comes and chermiti is withdrawn, getting a wee bit of the Bob Malcolm treatment again regarding the substitution. On comes Bojan, and within 1 minute I thought Bojan had burst the back of net as he plays the ball to Tavernier. He then spins that way. Tav comes in here, drills a cross in, it's low, it's hard. Bojan sliding at the back post, but it just clips his studs. You know what I mean? It reminds me of that Gaza opportunity. I think it was at Euro 96. He's just sliding, he just can't quite get there. What's he, 6'2", 6'3"? If he was 6'4" and 3/4, he would have probably got there and got a tap in. But aye, it was close for there, and then you're thinking, alright, okay, just keep the pressure up there, keep asking some questions, and to be fair, we did that. Now again, the argument could be made that Roma are very comfortable at this point, and they've certainly made enough substitutions to suggest that they are comfortable, but again, from a Rangers perspective, at least we were creating some chances. The next chance ends up coming from Tello Asgard. He gets on the ball, spins into space, he then plays a beautiful ball to Danilo. Danilo gets a shot, but again, the goalie's read it so well, he's out so early, and Danilo's shot from close range ends up being saved by the keeper, gone up the air. Tello's gone up to challenge him, but it's an easy save again for the goalkeeper, and yeah, that's about as close as we came. Now again, Roma did have a couple chances at the end. You got El Shawari, yeah, him from FIFA, ladies and gentlemen. He had a wee moment where he looked to cut inside, but ended up over hitting the pass, where again they had completely outnumbered us and played through us. There was a couple of other wee set pieces, there was a couple of other corners to defend, but again, I just never felt like they were really there in that second half, as they felt so comfortable. And considering how empty our attacking output actually is, you can understand that mentality, because look what happened. Did we score? No. The only other thing from a Rangers perspective I'd like to talk about, by the way, I'd like to briefly mention, is wee Finlay Curtis coming off the bench and getting 10 minutes, and he got the loudest cheer of the day, and I was personally delighted for the clock's gone back, because that kid's finally out at the hoose at this time. He's given a wee bit Mary an opportunity, and for me, he's just bright and he just tries, and at a lifeless season when everything looks already lost and as bad as it could possibly be, see, just seeing a kid come on there that just tries with everything that they've got, you just connect with that in a way, and I wish that kid absolutely all the best in the world. Hopefully we do see Miriam, because the guys in front of him aren't exactly balling out and playing really, really well. And again, if we keep persisting with playing Chermiti and giving him minutes and giving him time to get better and developing him time and time and time again, can we not maybe do the same for Finlay Curtis? Ladies and gentlemen, that's my wee question. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's my thoughts and opinions on the game. Again, as an individual performance, was it as bad as it's been? Nah, ladies and gentlemen. But again, is it good enough these days? Is this what we have to accept? I don't know, it's very, very weird. I want to know how you're feeling down there in the comment section below. I'm just sad to see how lifeless and how dull the European nights have become. That's truthfully where I'm no angry, I'm no frustrated. It's just sad seeing it this way. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comment section below. And as always, I've been CJ over 92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and bye-bye.